up, guys? This is Evan from myfirst-AR-15.com. This is part 2 of our Ghost Firearms 556 build. We've already installed our buffer tube assembly, as well as our rear takedown pin. So we got all that stuff in place. Today we're going to work on our magazine catch, trigger, and trigger guard. First, we're going to go ahead and start on the magazine catch part of it. So the easiest way to do this, you've got your 3 components down here you're going to need for that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our spring, and we're going to drop it into this hole right up here, like so. And then you're going to use your magazine release button. Get a close up there. You're going to use that to press that spring down so that it fits nicely inside the hole there. And then you're going to use your thumb to hold it in place before we move on to the next part. Working with these springs is always a little tricky. Okay, so we've got that captured in there with my thumb at the moment. And we're going to flip her around like so. And you'll see the slot there lines up to the other side of this. And we're going to start turning this. You got to get it lined up first. We're going to start turning that so that it begins to thread into place. Okay, and once you've got that started, you're just going to keep spinning this around like so to tighten it down. Now, you got to be careful. You don't want to booger up your finish there on your nice new gun. So as you're spinning that around, you got to watch out for this piece right here, okay? So you're going to want to gently bring her around. And if you come out the other side here, you're going to notice we've got a little ways to go yet. That's down there pretty good. So we're going to keep plugging away at this part. Well, I've just got a normal Magpul, regular P-Mag here. We're going to go ahead and insert that in like so. Make sure it's holding like it should. Everything looks good. And then if we press the button, magazine should drop free, and it does. All right, so now we're going to go through how to install our trigger. Now, on many builds, you're going to have a trigger assembly that you have to put together. You'd have your trigger, your disconnector, your hammer, and all of their springs, and you would first drop the trigger in with its spring attached, followed by the disconnector and its spring, followed by the hammer and its spring. And then what you would do is take these trigger pins, you got 2 of them, and they go in these holes right here. Ours install's gonna be a little different. I opted to go with this Elfman Tactical trigger, which is a drop-in style. It's got a 3-pound pull, and that's going to give us a lighter trigger feel. It's also going to save us some time on installation. So the way this one's going to go in is you first have this little plate that you're going to drop down inside there. Like that. Trigger goes in next. Like so. Turn it over to the side. Gotta have these holes lined up. And then you're gonna take a wax hammer or wooden mallet or something to that effect, and you're gonna gently tap these through. Now on this particular drop-in trigger, these pins actually went in pretty easy. There wasn't much resistance, so I didn't really have to pound on them, just kind of pushed them in. And what you have to do once these are in place to make sure things don't fall out is you're going to take this Allen wrench that they provide to you. And if you look on either side of the hammer, just below the legs of that spring, you have 2 adjustment screws that adjust how much tension that trigger has against those trigger pins. So you're going to adjust those to make sure that there's no wiggling, that everything's nice and firm, because you do not want those trigger pins falling out on you. That's going to be a bad day at the range right there. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Allen wrench to adjust them, and we'll pick up after that. Okay, back from having the trigger installed there. Got those set screws tightened up with the Allen wrench. Next we're going to go ahead and put in our trigger guard. There's the trigger guard. And then on this particular lower, you've got a little threaded screw, like so. If I can get the focus, there we go. Little threaded screw that you'll need this other really tiny Allen wrench on. And the other thing you have is a roll pin, which you're going to hammer into place very gently. So we'll go ahead and get the trigger guard into place. Like that. So first things first, go ahead and take our set screw. Make sure that's good and lined up first. Drop it into place and use the Allen wrench to tighten it up. Now what I like to do for that roll pin is take some pliers and just crimp the end to kind of help get things started. Maybe just a little more. There, so we got a nice little crimp on it. That's going to help us with getting this thing started. And you're going to take a hammer and you're going to drive it through. Some folks wish to put maybe some masking tape on this surface here to protect that. The alternate version, if you prefer, you can mask it and you can use a C-clamp to squeeze that guy into place. So I'm going to do that off camera real quick and we'll resume. Now once you get to that last little bit, you're going to want to probably finish it off with a brass punch. So use your punch to get that just into that last little bit of the way. If you're careful, you don't mar the finish or anything like that. Gotta be careful when you're pounding away at these things with a hammer. So that gets that part taken care of. And next we'll be probably moving on here to the bolt catch.